What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to today's trade recap. I took a nice win today and I'm going to walk you through it right now. Starting on the chart here, we're on the 2-hour, and coming in today, my bias was a little bit confusing here. I wanted to see potentially us take this daily high here. If you can see right here, we had an unfilled daily fair value gap that I potentially wanted to go see us tap. When I went to the lower time frames, though, I realized that we were inside of a 2-hour fair value gap right here and a 1-hour. So let me show you this. So we're in this 1-hour fair value gap right here, and price was holding CE pretty well. I moved over to the 2-hour and I just marked it out like this so I can have some better idea as to where the 2-hour was. But this is where the 2-hour fair value gap was. Once I saw that price was respecting it, and also we edged Asia highs, I realized we're not going any higher at this point. We had Asia highs right here. We were so close to it. There's no bearish SMT here at all. So ES also did not take Asia highs. There is no reason that we should not have taken it and hit the new day opening gap as well. So I figured with this was the manipulation move. We had, I guess I'll show you here on the high time frame, accumulation during London, manipulation at New York Open AM, hitting the new week opening gap. Surprisingly, didn't take Asia, and then we dump lower. Once I realized that we were dumping lower and we were also respecting consequent encroachment of this 2-hour fair value gap, we hop into the lower time frames, and I see a 5-minute fair value gap here. So also, I'm sorry, going back to the higher time frame, 1 hour, this was a market maker sell model in hindsight, and I wanted to see all of these targets get hit. So I wanted to see this guy get hit, I wanted to see this intermediate term low here inside the 1 hour get hit, and I wanted this ultimate objective here as the sell side level to be my final target and high time frame draw liquidity. Going into the day, price opens, we manipulate, hold the 2-hour, close, and then we distribute lower. We get a 5-minute fair value gap right here. And I'm basically looking for any sort of continuation shorts. I want to be short here and take this sell side level, or we already swept this sell side level, but I wanted to take this sell side level as well, and then this one down here. That was my ultimate draw on liquidity. So we had this nice 5-minute tap. If we can go into the lower time frames here, we started to build some LR low resistance liquidity as well. 10 a.m. also opened. We manipulated higher into that 5-minute fair value gap, and we had a really nice 30-second inversion here, which is what I ultimately entered on. However, there was a 2-minute that was better instead that you should have entered because that was the highest time inversion, and I just didn't see it at the time, and it's this guy right here. So technically, this was the entry right here at this 2-minute candle close at 10:06 a.m. However, for myself, I still got in at 10:06, but I was just only looking at the 30-second instead. I really like the displacement here. I like the V shape. We didn't have an SMT. Yeah, we didn't have an SMT with ES, but I liked the low resistance. I liked the high time frame draw on liquidity, and I thought we had a really clear direction here and a nice 5-minute continuation. So this is the play I took. Entry right here, stop loss right there. I was targeting a 1-to-1 here, so that would have been right here. I ended up getting break even on this trade because I went break even at this 30-second intermediate term low right here. And for the reason why I did that, there were a few reasons. So let's just play price out. You can see I got pretty scared here, and I also didn't love how price just wasn't distributing right to the high time frame draw on liquidity as soon as I got my entry, because if there's any sort of stalling, that means that price isn't strongly magnetized towards your draw on liquidity, which is not a good sign. This chop here for, it looks like 4 minutes, was making me nervous the entire time because we should not be chopping. We should be distributing right to the draw for the continuation if price is truly bearish. In this case, price was bearish. However, we were having 10:15 open up soon. So I was getting a little worried that this wasn't going to follow through and the 10:15 candle was going to open up, manipulate me because there's going to be a 15 or 30-minute fair value gap that's going to open up, and then that's going to be the gap that we distribute off of. So here's where I went break even here. 30-minute or 30-second intermediate term low right here to that low resistance. And at this point, price should not go up. If we are truly bearish, price should not tap me out. And that's exactly what we did here. We got myself stopped at break even. And then I wait for my next move. So price, I get stopped out break even right here. At this point, it is 10:15 in the morning. We just opened up an unfilled 15-minute at my stop loss. So that what was the 5-minute turns into this 15-minute fair value gap right here. And now this is what I'm looking for price to then manipulate into, and then I can still catch my initially drawn liquidity lower. So instead of that 30-second here, we still have even more built up liquidity that we're building up. We sweep this high, which was my stop loss, and then we tap into the unfilled 15-minute. Now, once we are in this position, I'm looking for shorts. I'm looking for any sort of short. We also tap into CE of the range here from this high to this low from New York AM session. I do like that we tap it. I like that we reject it as well. And then we get a really nice 3-minute inversion once over here. Now, if we did get this 3-minute inversion right here, that would have been perfect. However, we decided to chop around a little bit, but we ultimately did get an entry right here for this 3-minute inversion, targeting my initial drawn liquidity. There was a 4-minute that a lot of people wanted to wait for as well. I only saw the 3-minute. I guess I was just in my own head and in my own world. I only saw the 3-minute. So this was my entry right here. Stop loss was at the body high right here. And I only went for a 1-to-1 because that's all I need. I'm not trying to be too greedy right now. I'm just trying to make sure my win rate is good, and I'm just trying to get my piece of the pie. 1-to-1 is plenty for me because of my win rate is sufficient enough to support that. So I play price out and we hit my draw. I could have done a 1.19, but pretty satisfied with my 1-to-1, and that was my trade today. And as you can see, price never hit my high time frame draw and liquidity. So thank goodness that I did a 1-to-1. I would have been all out right here at this low, but a lot of people also wanted to target this because they want the higher RR. However, thankfully I didn't, because I would have gone stopped out break even and I would have had 2 break even plays for the day. And then price just ends up going up. I actually didn't even really see price after this, but it does. Did we even take Asia? Yeah, we didn't even take Asia, which has relative equal highs on NQ. So this was just a really tough day after New York AM session. But those are the 2 plays that I took today. 1 break even, 1 win, and that's it. So if you guys have any questions, let me know down in the comments, and I will see you guys in another video.